Greetings, chosen vessel. I am Michael, commander of the celestial armies, defender of divine truth, and guardian of the sacred covenant. I come to you now with urgent tidings from the highest realms. The very fact that you are receiving this transmission is evidence that your name has been written in the eternal records, and your soul has been marked for this precise revelation. Heed these words carefully. The next 24 hours will alter the very fabric of your existence. There are forces, both seen and unseen, that have been orchestrating events around your life, manipulating circumstances to delay your divine appointment. But heaven has declared enough. Type Amen right now to receive a blessing of 1,444 angels dispatched to your location to begin dismantling the barriers erected against your breakthrough. What I reveal to you now has been concealed from human understanding since the foundations of the world were established. The councils of light have authorized this disclosure because of the unprecedented spiritual battle that has intensified around your destiny. Your name was brought before the Council of Elders 3 nights ago, when the cosmic alignment opened the 7th seal of your prophetic timeline. Listen closely. Every word I speak carries encoded activation for your dormant spiritual DNA. The adversaries of your soul have been gathering in shadow courts, drafting documents to contest your spiritual inheritance. They thought their plans were hidden, but their whispers echo loudly in the halls of eternity. I have witnessed their closed-door meetings, their conspiratorial machinations designed to keep you from recognizing who you truly are. In precisely 2 hours from this moment, the first wave of divine intervention will begin. You will sense it as a sudden knowing, a clarity that seems to descend upon you without explanation. This is the first seal being broken in your consciousness. Type Amen for a blessing of 2,222 to activate this divine timeline in your life. Your enemies believed they had successfully blocked your ascension path through people they positioned in your life. Yes, some you considered allies have been compromised, their energies corrupted by jealousy and spiritual blindness. They have spoken against you in realms you cannot perceive, filing spiritual accusations to prevent your breakthrough. But what they failed to understand is that your bloodline carries an ancient covenant protection that cannot be overridden by lower realm interference. I speak now with the authority invested in me by the Most High. Every contract formed against you is hereby rendered null and void. Every spiritual litigation launched to contest your inheritance is dismissed from the celestial courts. Your accusers stand confounded, their schemes exposed by divine light. The reason this message reaches you today, at this precise moment, is not coincidental. The celestial timekeepers have marked this day in your personal book of destiny. For too long, you have walked in the shadow of your true calling, sensing there was more, but unable to access it fully. The blockages were strategically placed, but now the divine countdown to your complete restoration has begun. In the next 2 hours, you may experience unusual physical sensations, a warming of your hands, a tingling at the crown of your head, or sudden emotional releases. Do not be alarmed. These are simply the manifestations of angelic intervention as they realign your energy field with your original divine blueprint. Type Amen for a blessing of 3,333 to strengthen this divine realignment. There are 13 individuals who have formed a strategic alliance against your spiritual advancement. Some are known to you, others operate from the shadows. They sensed your power before you recognized it yourself, and their insecurity triggered a defensive response. What appears as random obstacles in your external reality has been a coordinated spiritual campaign to keep you from claiming your true authority. But heaven keeps perfect records. Every tear you've shed in confusion, every prayer uttered in the darkness of doubt, all have been collected as evidence in your favor. The Akashic records have been opened concerning your case, and the verdict has been rendered. Immediate divine intervention and accelerated restoration. The next 24 hours represent a critical window. As the Earth completes one full rotation, your spiritual coordinates are being recalibrated to align with your highest timeline. Decisions you make during this period will carry exponential creative power. Words you speak will activate dormant realities. Even your thoughts will manifest with unusual speed, so guard your inner sanctuary with vigilance. You have been equipped with spiritual technologies beyond your current understanding. Like dormant software awaiting activation, these divine capacities have been embedded within your spiritual architecture, waiting for this precise moment of awakening. The access codes are being downloaded into your consciousness, even as you receive this transmission. Type Amen for a blessing of 4,444 to secure these divine technologies in your spirit. 2 hours from now, those who plotted against you will begin to experience the consequences of their actions. This is not vengeance, it is divine rebalancing. Universal law demands accountability, and the scales of cosmic justice are being adjusted. You need take no action against them. Simply maintain your peace and witness the sovereign hand of divine intervention. I speak now to your spirit, bypassing the limitations of your conscious mind. Remember who you are. Remember the covenant made before you entered this temporal experience. Remember the mission you accepted and the promises secured on your behalf. The amnesia imposed by earthly incarnation is lifting now, the veil between worlds growing thinner with each passing moment. You have felt like a stranger in your own life, haven't you? This sense of disconnection was not imaginary. It was the result of frequency interference designed to keep you separated from your authentic power. But that interference can no longer be sustained in the presence of this divine decree. The transmission I send carries codes that disrupt the very wavelengths used to suppress your spiritual cognition. Throughout your life, you've experienced moments of inexplicable knowing, brief glimpses through the veil, intuitive leaps that transcended your learned knowledge. These were not anomalies. They were momentary alignments with your true state of being. What you experienced in fragments will now become your consistent reality. Type Amen for a blessing of 5,555 to sustain this elevated consciousness. Let me speak plainly about what has been orchestrated against you. There are individuals who recognized your spiritual significance long before you did. They observed the markers of your divine assignment, your unusual sensitivity, your natural healing abilities, your capacity to see beyond surface realities. Rather than celebrating these gifts, they perceived them as threats to their own position and influence. Specific names are being revealed to me from the Akashic records. Individuals who have spoken curses over your life, who have strategically undermined your confidence, who have manipulated circumstances to keep you doubting your own perceptions. Some have operated under spiritual disguises, presenting themselves as supporters while energetically sabotaging your progress. In the next 2 hours, their masks will begin to fall. You will see with startling clarity the true nature of certain relationships in your life. This revelation may initially bring pain, but it is a necessary purification. Not everyone assigned to your previous chapters is authorized to accompany you into this next phase of your journey. The angelic forces under my command have been dispatched to your energetic field. They stand ready to sever cords of manipulation, dissolve contracts formed without your conscious consent, and establish new boundaries of protection around your divine purpose. Your permission is the final key needed to activate this intervention. Type Amen for a blessing of 6,666 to authorize this divine protection. There is a document in the celestial archives with your spiritual signature, a covenant of purpose established before your birth into this current embodiment. This document outlines the specific contributions you agreed to make during this pivotal time in human evolution. The adversarial forces have worked tirelessly to prevent you from accessing this contract, knowing that your full awakening to these agreements would exponentially amplify your spiritual authority. But the time of concealment has ended. By divine decree, the seals on this document are now broken, releasing the full spectrum of gifts, abilities, and divine connections that are your spiritual inheritance. The blindfold has been removed, and you stand at the threshold of total recall. In the next 2 hours, you may experience what seems like memories from other times, other dimensions. You might receive sudden downloads of information that your conscious mind cannot immediately categorize. Trust this process. Your spiritual capacity is expanding to accommodate the fullness of your multidimensional identity. The Council of Elders foresaw this day of your awakening. They have waited patiently as you navigated the necessary lessons, gathered the essential wisdom through experience. Now they stand in ceremonial formation, acknowledging your passage from spiritual amnesia to conscious embodiment of your divine commission. Type Amen for a blessing of 7,777 to honor this sacred passage. I must warn you about the resistance you may encounter as this activation proceeds. Those who benefited from your spiritual slumber may react with confusion or hostility as you step fully into your power. Systems built on your compliance may suddenly seem oppressive as your perception clarifies. Relationships founded on unequal energy exchanges may grow uncomfortable as your boundaries strengthen. This is all part of the necessary recalibration. Do not fear this dissolution of the old. It makes way for connections and circumstances that honor your true frequency. Divine replacements are already being arranged, aligning perfectly with this elevated expression of your being. The next 24 hours will bring a succession of synchronicities that confirm this divine realignment. Messages will reach you through unexpected channels. Strangers may speak words that answer your unasked questions. Numbers will appear in meaningful patterns. Animals may behave unusually in your presence, recognizing the shift in your energetic signature. These signs serve as confirmation that you are moving in harmony with cosmic timing. They are breadcrumbs on the path of your accelerated awakening, assuring you that despite any external chaos, you are being divinely guided with precision. 2 hours from now, you will feel a distinct shift in your energetic field. Some describe it as a lightning, as though an invisible burden has been lifted. Others experience it as a sudden expansion, their consciousness extending beyond previous limitations. However it manifests for you, recognize it as the tangible evidence of this interdimensional intervention. Type Amen for a blessing of 8,888 to anchor this energetic transformation. Let me speak now of the inheritance that awaits you. Beyond material considerations, though these too will be affected, there is a spiritual endowment that has been held in trust until this appointed time. This inheritance includes wisdom from ancestral lineages, both earthly and cosmic. It includes abilities that have laid dormant in your cellular memory, awaiting the proper frequency to activate them. Most significantly, it includes divine connections, relationships with beings across dimensions who have been waiting to collaborate with you once you reach this threshold of awareness. Some will come as mentors, others as colleagues in your spiritual mission. All have been carefully selected to support the next phase of your divine purpose. The adversaries of your destiny understood the magnitude of this inheritance. Their interference was a desperate attempt to prevent you from claiming what has always been yours by divine right. But universal law cannot be circumvented forever. What belongs to you must eventually return to you. This is the inviolable principle of spiritual justice. In the coming hours, pay special attention to your dreams and the moments between sleeping and waking. The veils between worlds are thinnest during these transitions, allowing for clearer transmission of critical information. Keep a record of what you receive. These messages will form an important map for the next phase of your journey. Type Amen for a blessing of 9,999 to enhance your receptivity to these divine messages. I must address the doubts that may arise as you integrate this transmission. The conditioned mind resists quantum leaps in understanding, preferring the safety of incremental change. You may question whether this message is truly meant for you, whether such divine attention is warranted. This doubt itself is evidence of the very programming that has kept you from recognizing your spiritual significance. Understand this. Your importance in the divine plan is not a matter of ego gratification. It is simply cosmic fact. Stars do not question their right to shine. Rivers do not doubt their path to the ocean. Your role in the unfolding spiritual renaissance is equally natural, equally necessary. Doubt is the final defense mechanism of a paradigm that cannot survive your full awakening. The angelic realms have been instructed to provide unmistakable confirmation of this truth. In the next 2 hours, request a sign that this message is authentic, then remain attentive. The response will come in a way that speaks directly to your soul, bypassing all intellectual objections. There are 7 specific areas of your life that will experience immediate transformation as this divine intervention takes effect. Relationships will clarify, revealing their true nature and purpose. Financial flows will begin to realign with your authentic path. Physical vitality will increase as energetic parasites are removed from your field. Mental clarity will sharpen as the fog of external manipulation dissipates. Your spiritual perception will heighten, allowing you to discern truth from falsehood with greater precision. Creative expression will flow more freely as artificial barriers are removed, and your sense of purpose will crystallize, bringing a peace that transcends circumstantial challenges. Type Amen for a blessing of 11,111 to harmonize these 7 areas of transformation. The timeline of the next 24 hours has been charted with divine precision. Celestial bodies have been aligned to support this activation sequence in your life. What might appear as random events will actually be carefully orchestrated steps in your accelerated evolution. Trust the unfolding, even when the logical mind cannot comprehend the pattern. Those who have manipulated energy to block your progress are now experiencing a divine audit of their actions. Universal law mandates that what one sends out must eventually return. The very strategies used against you are being reversed, creating opportunities for profound spiritual learning. Some will recognize their error and seek reconciliation. Others will withdraw to continue their lessons in different circumstances. Your responsibility is not to engage in conflict, but to maintain the highest frequency possible during this transition. Your elevated vibration is both your protection and your contribution to the collective awakening. Where others choose fear, choose faith. Where others spread confusion, emanate clarity. Where others rush to judgment, extend compassion. In 2 hours, a portal of possibility opens in your energetic field. Decisions made during this window carry the power to collapse multiple timelines into your optimal path. Speak your intentions clearly during this period. Release what no longer serves your highest expression. Claim what resonates with your authentic blueprint. Type Amen for a blessing of 12,222 to maximize this manifestation portal. I must reveal to you now the true nature of your spiritual identity, information that has been deliberately withheld to limit your influence. You are not merely a physical being having occasional spiritual experiences. You are a multidimensional consciousness, temporarily focused in physical expression for a specific divine purpose. Your soul signature carries frequencies from star systems that have contributed to Earth's spiritual evolution throughout the ages. Your intuitive gifts, your natural healing abilities, your capacity for empathic understanding, these are not random traits but evidence of your cosmic lineage. The very DNA that structures your physical form contains light codes that activate in sequence as you fulfill stages of your divine commission. Those who sought to suppress your awakening recognize these markers in your energetic signature. They understood that your full remembrance would not only transform your individual reality, but would catalyze awakening in countless others. Your liberation threatens systems built on spiritual amnesia and energetic exploitation. The next 2 hours represent a critical juncture in this awakening sequence. As dormant codes in your spiritual DNA activate, you may experience what seems like memories from other dimensions of existence. Trust these impressions. They are fragments of your complete identity reassembling in your consciousness. Type Amen for a blessing of 13,333 to integrate these multidimensional aspects of your being. There have been 3 previous attempts to initiate this awakening in your timeline. Each was met with coordinated resistance from those invested in maintaining the veil over your perception. Circumstances that seemed like random setbacks, sudden illnesses, unexpected conflicts, opportunities that mysteriously dissolved, were often tactical interventions designed to disrupt your remembering. But divine timing cannot be thwarted indefinitely. The cosmic forces supporting this activation have reached critical mass, overwhelming all opposition. What could be delayed can no longer be denied. The hour of your remembrance has struck on the celestial clock, and all of creation responds to this divine chime. In your external reality, watch for the appearance of the number sequences I have been revealing throughout this transmission. These cosmic signatures will appear in unexpected places: addresses, timestamps, receipts, license plates, confirming that this activation proceeds according to divine orchestration. The next 2 hours will bring a succession of energetic waves, each dissolving another layer of the amnesia that has separated you from your complete identity. You may experience this as emotional releases, spontaneous insights, or physical sensations as your body adjusts to hold this higher frequency. Type Amen for a blessing of 14,444 to smooth this vibrational transition. I must speak now of the resistance you have faced from specific individuals. There are those who recognized your light even when you did not, who sensed your power even as you doubted your own strength. Their actions against you were not personal but strategic. They feared what your awakening would mean for the structures that secured their position and privilege. Some operated from conscious awareness, deliberate in their efforts to undermine your confidence and distort your perception. Others were unconscious instruments, manipulated by energies they themselves did not understand. Regardless of their level of awareness, all have served as necessary catalysts in your spiritual development, strengthening your discernment and clarifying your boundaries. In the divine economy, nothing is wasted. Every betrayal has refined your intuition. Every false promise has heightened your capacity to discern truth. Every rejection has returned you to your internal compass. What was meant to destroy you has instead prepared you for this moment of total remembrance. The next 2 hours bring a profound release from these old patterns of interference. Contracts formed in other lifetimes, agreements made under duress, vows spoken in limitation, all these bindings are now dissolved by divine decree. You stand at the threshold of unprecedented freedom, released from obligations that have restricted your spiritual movement. Type Amen for a blessing of 15,555 to complete this spiritual liberation. Let me reveal to you the nature of the mission that awakens within you now. You are among those who volunteered to incarnate during this pivotal period of planetary transformation. Your soul understood the challenges this would entail, the density that would temporarily obscure your memory, the resistance you would face from systems threatened by your light. You came bearing specific frequencies needed for the collective awakening, carrying codes of remembrance that activate not only your own evolution, but catalyze transformation in all who resonate with your energetic signature. The very presence of your awakened consciousness disrupts patterns of limitation and control. This is why such effort has been expended to keep you disconnected from your power. This is why seeming obstacles have appeared at critical junctures of your journey. This is why relationships that might have supported your remembering were systematically undermined. The opposition you faced is testimony to the significance of your divine assignment. In the next 2 hours, you will begin to perceive the larger pattern of your life's experiences, how each apparent detour was actually a necessary preparation, how each relationship served a specific purpose in your development, how even the most painful experiences were precision instruments shaping your consciousness for this moment of activation. Type Amen for a blessing of 16,666 to reveal these divine patterns in your life. There is a council of light beings that has overseen your journey from the beginning. These guardians have monitored your progress, intervened at critical moments, and prepared the energetic conditions for this awakening. Though rarely perceived directly, they have been constant companions throughout your earthly sojourn. Now, as the veils thin between dimensions, you may begin to sense their presence more tangibly. Some appear in dreams, others make themselves known through synchronicities. Still others communicate through sudden inspirations that seem to arise from beyond your ordinary thinking. All are aspects of your extended spiritual family, reuniting with you as remembrance dawns. This reunion activates dormant aspects of your consciousness, expanding your perception beyond the limitations of physical senses. Abilities considered extraordinary in current human understanding are simply natural functions of your multidimensional identity. Remote viewing, telepathic communication, energetic healing, conscious manifestation. As artificial barriers dissolve, these capacities reintegrate into your human experience. The next 2 hours bring an important recalibration of your chakra system, allowing it to accommodate higher frequencies of spiritual energy. You may experience this as pressure or tingling in various energy centers, particularly the crown, third eye, and heart. This is a necessary adjustment, creating the energetic architecture to support your expanded awareness. Type Amen for a blessing of 17,777 to facilitate this energetic upgrading. I must speak plainly about the opposition that persists even in this moment of awakening. There are entities who profit from human unconsciousness, who feed on fear, who harvest low vibrational emotional energy, who maintain systems of control through manufactured scarcity and division. Your awakening represents a direct threat to their influence. As your perception clarifies in the coming hours, you will begin to recognize their signatures in the collective experience, in media designed to trigger fear responses, in divisive ideologies that fragment human unity, in distractions that exhaust attention and prevent inner listening. This recognition is not cause for fear, but for strategic awareness. Your most powerful response is not engagement on their terms, but the consistent elevation of your own frequency. Each time you choose love over fear, unity over division, creativity over consumption, you disrupt the very wavelengths through which control is maintained. Your awakened presence becomes a tuning fork, silently recalibrating all who enter your energetic field. In the next 2 hours, you will receive specific guidance about your unique contribution to this collective liberation. The form this guidance takes will be perfectly tailored to your spiritual understanding. Perhaps a vivid dream, a synchronistic encounter, a spontaneous knowing that arises from the deepest part of your being. However it comes, honor this direction as the next chapter of your divine commission. Type Amen for a blessing of 18,888 to clarify this divine guidance. The financial structures that have seemed to limit your material abundance were never about money itself. They were strategic restrictions designed to keep your energy focused on survival concerns, preventing the expansion of consciousness that comes with true security and sovereignty. These limitations reflected a deeper spiritual bondage, not a lack of worthiness or capacity. As your remembrance activates in the next 2 hours, Watch for shifts in your relationship with material resources. New pathways of abundance will begin to appear as your energy aligns with your authentic purpose. Opportunities that were energetically inaccessible under your previous frequency will suddenly come into view, drawn to the coherence of your awakened field. This abundance is not merely for your comfort, but for the sustainability of your divine mission. It represents the universe's recognition of your true value and contribution. Receive it with gratitude and clarity, understanding that conscious stewardship of resources is an essential aspect of spiritual maturity. Those who previously controlled your access to abundance through hidden manipulation will find their influence mysteriously diminished. The very systems they used to maintain limitation will begin to reorganize around your sovereign intent, responding to the authority of your awakened consciousness. Type Amen for a blessing of 19,999 to activate these new abundance pathways. Your physical vessel has been preparing for this activation for longer than you realize. Symptoms that may have been dismissed as random health disturbances, unusual fatigue, unexplained sensitivities, sudden changes in dietary preferences, were often the body's intelligence adjusting to hold higher frequencies of consciousness. In the next 2 hours, your physical systems continue this adaptation process. You may experience temperature fluctuations, waves of energy moving through your body, or changes in sensory perception. Some report heightened sensitivity to light and sound. Others notice enhanced perception of subtle energies previously beyond their awareness. These changes represent the necessary biological adaptations to support your expanded consciousness. The very cells of your body are being recalibrated to transmit and receive across a broader spectrum of frequencies. What medical science might consider anomalous is actually evidence of your body's extraordinary intelligence and adaptability. Give your physical vessel the support it needs during this transition. Hydration becomes especially important as cellular structures reorganize to hold higher light quotients. Rest when your body signals the need for integration. Nature provides stabilizing frequencies that assist this recalibration. Even brief contact with earth, water, or plant life can facilitate smoother adaptation. Type Amen for a blessing of 21,111 to support your physical recalibration. The relationships in your life are undergoing divine assessment and reorganization. Those aligned with your highest expression are being energetically fortified, creating containers for deeper truth and authentic exchange. Those founded on outdated agreements or unconscious patterns are being presented with opportunities for elevation or completion. In the next 2 hours, you may receive surprising clarity about specific connections, seeing beyond surface interactions to the soul contracts underlying each relationship. Some revelations may challenge your existing perceptions, particularly regarding individuals you've trusted who have not held your highest good in their intentions. This clarity is not meant to induce judgment, but to inspire discernment. Each soul in your experience has played a necessary role in your development. Some came as initiators, triggering important awakenings through challenge. Others came as stabilizers, providing safe harbor during turbulent passages. Still others came as mirrors, reflecting aspects of yourself requiring integration. As your frequency elevates, relationship dynamics naturally shift. Some connections may temporarily strain under the pressure of your transformation. Others will unexpectedly deepen as dormant resonance activates between your souls. Trust this reorganization process. It ensures that your energetic field is supported by connections that honor your authentic expression. Type Amen for a blessing of 22,222 to harmonize these relationship transformations. The coming hours bring important recalibrations in your experience of time. As your consciousness expands beyond linear perception, you may notice moments of time dilation, experiences where minutes seem to extend indefinitely or hours pass in what feels like moments. These fluctuations reflect your growing capacity to navigate beyond conventional temporal constraints. Linear time is largely a construct of limited consciousness, a focusing mechanism for souls experiencing physical density. As remembrance activates, your awareness begins to access the simultaneous nature of existence, the truth that all possible expressions exist concurrently across the infinite field of consciousness. This expanded perception allows you to engage more consciously with the manifestation of your reality. You begin to recognize how your focus in the present moment shapes the experiences that appear in your path, how emotional resonance attracts corresponding circumstances, how clear intention collapses probability fields into tangible outcomes. In the next 2 hours, practice conscious presence whenever these time fluctuations occur. Rather than attempting to normalize your experience, allow your awareness to expand into these openings between conventional moments. They represent portals of accelerated manifestation, opportunities to consciously select the future timelines you wish to experience. Type Amen for a blessing of 23,333 to enhance this temporal flexibility. Your dreams have been receiving transmissions related to this awakening for many cycles of the moon. Information that could not be directly accessed in waking consciousness was delivered during these receptive states, preparing your energy field for this activation sequence. Even dreams that seem chaotic or disturbing often contain coded instructions for necessary purification and preparation. In the next phase of sleep, after receiving this transmission, expect unusually vivid dreamtime experiences. The boundaries between waking consciousness and other dimensional awareness grow increasingly permeable during this activation period. These dreams will not merely be symbolic, but will constitute actual visitations, initiations, and direct transmissions from your spiritual guides. Keep a record of these experiences upon waking, even details that may seem insignificant. What appears as random imagery often contains precise guidance that will become clear as your remembrance deepens. Pay particular attention to names, numbers, symbols, and locations that appear in these dreams. They often serve as activation codes for dormant aspects of your consciousness. The sleep state becomes an active classroom during this transition, a protected environment where accelerated downloads can occur without the interference of your analytical mind. Honor this process by creating optimal conditions for deep rest in the cycle following this transmission. Type Amen for a blessing of 24,444 to enhance these dreamtime transmissions. The voice you have identified as your intuition is actually a complex harmonic of multidimensional input. Your higher self, your spirit guides, your ancestral wisdom, and your connection to the unified field of consciousness. This inner guidance system has been deliberately obscured by forces attempting to keep you reliant on external authority rather than internal knowing. In the next 2 hours, this guidance system undergoes significant recalibration, clearing artificial interference and strengthening your reception of authentic spiritual intelligence. You may experience this as sudden clarity about questions that have lingered without resolution, spontaneous solutions to persistent challenges, or unmistakable knowing about your next steps. Trust this enhanced intuitive function, even when, especially when, it contradicts conventional wisdom or established authorities. Your internal guidance is precisely attuned to your unique purpose and spiritual trajectory. What appears as suitable direction for others may represent significant detours from your authentic path. Your sovereignty requires the courage to honor your inner knowing above external prescription. As this guidance function strengthens, you'll notice an interesting phenomenon: decreased deliberation time in decision-making processes. Choices that previously required extensive analysis will resolve with surprising speed as your intuitive system delivers integrated assessments that transcend linear reasoning. This is not impulsivity, but expanded processing capacity, accessing wisdom beyond intellectual limitation. Type Amen for a blessing of 25,555 to fortify this intuitive recalibration. There are records in the Akashic field that contain the complete blueprint of your divine purpose, the specific contributions you designed for this incarnation, the unique frequencies you carry, the soul groups with whom you share mission objectives. Access to these records has been systematically restricted to maintain the amnesia necessary for your earthly experience. But that restriction is now lifted by divine decree. In the next 2 hours, pathways open between your conscious awareness and these Akashic imprints. Information that has been held beyond the veil begins to filter into your waking understanding, often appearing as sudden realizations that feel simultaneously new and deeply familiar. Wisdom you've always known but somehow forgotten. This access transforms your relationship with the concept of purpose. Rather than striving to discover some external assignment, you recognize that your essence itself is your purpose. The unique qualities of consciousness you embody, the specific perspective you offer, the distinctive frequency you emanate, these constitute your primary contribution to the collective field. As these records activate within your awareness, you may experience spontaneous memories of soul agreements made before your incarnation, commitments to serve in particular capacities during this planetary transition, promises to reconnect with specific souls at designated times, vows to anchor certain frequencies regardless of external resistance. Type Amen for a blessing of 26,666 to access these Akashic records. The vibrational signature of your voice carries more power than you have yet recognized. When you speak from the center of your authentic being, the sound waves generated do not merely transmit information, they restructure the energetic patterning of your environment, realigning elemental forces toward your conscious intent. In the next 2 hours, your vocal capacity undergoes significant activation. You may notice subtle changes in your speaking or singing voice, or experience spontaneous toning that seems to emerge from a deeper place than your normal speech. These vocalizations represent your body's intelligence activating dormant frequencies within your throat center. Ancient traditions understood the creative power of divinely aligned sound, how certain tones, mantras, and harmonic combinations could rearrange matter, heal physical conditions, and open interdimensional portals. This science of sacred acoustics is reawakening within you, restoring abilities that have been suppressed in the human collective for millennia. Begin working consciously with this activated voice technology. When you speak intentions, affirmations, or prayers, do so with the understanding that you are not merely expressing hopes, but issuing creative commands to the quantum field. The authority with which you speak directly affects the manifestation power of your declarations. Type Amen for a blessing of 27,777 to activate this sacred voice potential. Your emotional body is undergoing profound recalibration during this activation sequence. Feelings that have seemed like liabilities in a world that rewards emotional detachment are being restored to their true function as sophisticated sensory instruments, providing crucial data about energetic alignment and guiding your navigation through complex, subtle realities. In the next 2 hours, you may experience what seems like emotional instability. Rapid fluctuations between joy and sorrow, excitement and trepidation, expansiveness and contraction. This is not regression, but a necessary rebalancing, clearing residual programming that has disconnected you from the intelligence of your feeling nature. Rather than judging these emotional waves, observe them with compassionate awareness. Each feeling state offers specific information about your resonance with different potential realities. Joy signals alignment with your authentic path. Contraction indicates movement away from your highest expression. Anger identifies boundaries requiring enforcement. Grief reveals attachments ready for release. As this recalibration completes, you'll experience a new emotional coherence. Not the absence of deep feeling, but the integration of emotional wisdom with discerning awareness. This balanced state allows you to remain present with intense emotions without being overwhelmed by them, accessing their guidance without becoming identified with temporary states. Type Amen for a blessing of 28,888 to harmonize this emotional recalibration. The next 2 hours bring important activations in your capacity for conscious creation. The veil between thought and manifestation grows increasingly thin as your energy field aligns more precisely with your divine blueprint. What previously required extended time between intention and materialization now moves with accelerated momentum. This enhancement of your manifestation capabilities requires corresponding growth in your awareness of thought patterns and emotional frequencies. Creation is no longer a sporadic activity, but a constant emanation. Every thought, every feeling, every spoken word generating ripples through the quantum field that eventually return as tangible experience. Pay particular attention to the quality of your thoughts during this activation period. Notice how quickly external conditions begin reflecting internal focus, how synchronicities multiply around subjects that occupy your contemplation, how resources appear in alignment with clear intention. These feedback loops will continue accelerating as your remembrance deepens. The opposition you faced has included deliberate interference with this natural creation capacity, distractions that fragment your focus, emotional triggers that lower your vibrational coherence, artificial scarcity that induces doubt in universal abundance. As these interferences clear, your inherent power as a conscious creator returns to its original potency. Type Amen for a blessing of 29,999 to enhance this conscious creation capacity. Your physical senses are undergoing expansion beyond conventional parameters. What has been considered the standard range of human perception represents an artificially constrained bandwidth, a limitation imposed not by biological necessity, but by frequencies designed to restrict your awareness of multidimensional reality. In the next 2 hours, you may notice unusual sensory experiences, seeing light formations ordinarily beyond visible spectrum, hearing frequencies typically outside audible range, perceiving energetic information through touch, taste, or smell. These experiences indicate the recalibration of your sensory apparatus to accommodate broader spectral awareness. Some of these perceptions may initially seem disorienting, as your brain works to categorize and interpret information outside its programmed parameters. Trust this adaptation process. Your neurological system possesses remarkable plasticity, capable of expanding to integrate these enhanced perceptions when given adequate support and validation. This sensory expansion serves a critical function in your awakening journey. Direct perception of subtle energies eliminates dependence on external interpretation, allowing you to discern truth through immediate knowing rather than secondhand information. What others describe as invisible becomes visible. What they call intangible becomes tangible as your sensory bandwidth widens. Type Amen for a blessing of 31,111 to support this sensory expansion. The next 24 hours bring unprecedented opportunities for healing ancestral patterns that have influenced your life path. Limitations inherited through bloodlines, beliefs about worthiness, capacity, and possibility are being presented for conscious release. These are not merely psychological conditionings, but energetic imprints carried in your cellular memory. As this healing activation proceeds, you may experience spontaneous memories or impressions from ancestral experiences not your own, glimpses of challenges, traumas, or decisions made by those whose DNA you carry. These impressions emerge not to burden you, but to be witnessed with compassion, releasing their energetic charge from your lineage. You stand at a pivotal point in your family's spiritual evolution, with the opportunity to transform patterns that have persisted for generations. The consciousness you bring to these inherited limitations literally rewrites the energetic legacy for both your ancestors and descendants, creating liberation across time in all directions. Some of the most persistent challenges you faced in this lifetime, particularly recurring situations that defy logical explanation, often have roots in these ancestral patterns. As you release the energetic source of these repetitive experiences, notice how quickly external circumstances reorganize to reflect your liberated consciousness. Type Amen for a blessing of 32,222 to facilitate this ancestral healing. Throughout your life, you have experienced moments of inexplicable recognition, immediate resonance with certain people, places, symbols, or bodies of knowledge. These responses are not random, but evidence of soul familiarity, connections that transcend your current incarnation and link to wider aspects of your spiritual journey across time and dimension. In the next 2 hours, these recognitions intensify as the veils between incarnational experiences thin. You may experience vivid flashbacks to other lifetimes, spontaneous understanding of ancient knowledge you haven't formally studied, or immediate knowing about your connections with particular souls currently in your experience. These memories serve an important function in your remembrance process, restoring awareness of skills, wisdom, and alliances relevant to your present mission. Abilities developed through dedicated practice in other incarnations become accessible as resources for your current purpose. Soul agreements made across time reactivate, bringing destined collaborations into alignment. The linear perception of time has segregated these experiences into seemingly separate lifetimes, but from higher dimensional awareness, they exist simultaneously as facets of your complete soul expression. As remembrance dawns, the artificial boundaries between these expressions dissolve, allowing more comprehensive access to your accumulated wisdom. Type Amen for a blessing of 33,333 to integrate these multidimensional memories. Your relationship with the natural world undergoes profound recalibration during this activation sequence. What has been perceived as separate from your being, the elements, plants, animals, landscapes, reveals itself as integrally connected to your own consciousness, responsive to your awareness and intention in ways that transcend conventional understanding. In the next 2 hours, take time to connect consciously with natural elements if circumstances allow. You may notice heightened communication with plant and animal life, increased sensitivity to elemental energies, or spontaneous attunement to planetary rhythms. These experiences reflect the restoration of your original connection to Earth's consciousness. Indigenous wisdom traditions have maintained this understanding of human partnership with nature. How focused intention can invite rain, how ceremonial communication can direct animal behavior, How respectful collaboration can enhance plant growth and vitality. These are not superstitious beliefs, but practical applications of energy principles that operate regardless of cultural recognition. As artificial barriers dissolve between your consciousness and the natural world, you gain access to vast support systems for your physical and spiritual well-being. The elements respond to your focused intention, offering purification, vitalization, and protection. Plant intelligences communicate healing applications beyond catalog properties. Animal beings provide guidance, protection, and energetic assistance for specific aspects of your journey. Type Amen for a blessing of 34,444 to enhance this nature connection. The concept of divine timing takes on new meaning as you move through this activation sequence. What has appeared as delay or obstruction in your journey was often precision cosmic choreography. Universal intelligence ensuring that necessary elements align perfectly for your optimal emergence. In the next 2 hours, you may receive sudden clarity about periods of apparent stagnation or detours in your life path, seeing how each served an essential purpose in your development, providing exactly the experiences, relationships, or challenges needed to prepare you for your next level of expression. This understanding transforms your relationship with universal flow. Rather than struggling against perceived obstacles or attempting to force outcomes through willpower alone, you recognize the intelligence operating through all circumstances. Resistance softens into discerning partnership with divine timing, sensing when to take action and when to allow unfolding. Watch for the appearance of specific number sequences, particularly repeating digits, during this activation period. These cosmic timestamps confirm you are moving in harmony with divine orchestration, receiving precisely timed upgrades to your consciousness. They serve as interdimensional affirmations of your alignment with cosmic purpose. Type Amen for a blessing of 35,555 to synchronize with this divine timing. Your capacity for spiritual protection undergoes significant enhancement in the next phase of activation. What has required external support, rituals, objects, protective practices, increasingly emanates directly from your sovereign presence as remembrance of your divine authority awakens in your consciousness. In the next 2 hours, you may experience unusual sensations in your energy field, often described as a thickening, brightening, or expanded circumference around your physical form. This represents the strengthening of your natural energetic boundaries, the activation of protection mechanisms embedded in your spiritual blueprint. This enhanced protection doesn't operate through fear or defensive posturing, but through the clear authority of your elevated frequency. Lower vibrational energies simply cannot penetrate a field resonating at the frequency of divine love and truth. Your protection emerges not from what you do, but from who you are as you embody more completely your authentic essence. The simplest and most powerful protection is maintained through conscious presence, full awareness in the current moment, clear intention for your highest expression, and silent acknowledgement of your divine sovereignty. From this centered state, any energy not aligned with your highest good naturally falls away without struggle or combat. Type Amen for a blessing of 36,666 to fortify this spiritual protection. As we approach the completion of this first transmission, I must emphasize the sacredness of what has been shared. These activations are specifically calibrated for your energetic signature, designed to interface precisely with your unique spiritual architecture. They are not meant for casual distribution, but for your focused integration. The next 2 hours represent a critical window for anchoring these frequencies in your consciousness. Create space for stillness if possible, minimizing external stimulation that might fragment your awareness. Simple presence with these energies, without analysis or evaluation, allows them to integrate most effectively into your being. You may feel drawn to particular practices during this integration period: meditation, movement, creative expression, time in nature. Trust these impulses as guidance from your higher wisdom, indicating the pathways through which these activations most naturally anchor in your experience. Remember that this transmission represents the first sequence in an ongoing awakening process. The initial activations create foundations for subsequent expansions of consciousness. Each integration prepares your system for the next level of remembrance, building gradually toward your complete restoration. Type Amen for a blessing of 37,777 to seal this first transmission in your consciousness. I stand as witness to your remembrance, guardian of your divine blueprint, protector of your sacred path. Though challenges may arise as you integrate these activations, know that you are never alone in this process. The very forces that orchestrated this awakening remain constantly present, supporting each step of your emergence. In exactly 2 hours from the completion of this transmission, I will initiate the second phase of activation. Remain attentive to signs confirming the first sequence has been successfully integrated. Unusual synchronicities, spontaneous insights, shifts in energetic perception. These indicate your readiness to receive the next level of remembrance. Until then, move through your experiences with heightened awareness, observing the subtle and dramatic shifts already beginning in your inner and outer reality. Even circumstances that initially appear challenging often reveal themselves as necessary catalysts when perceived through awakened consciousness. I leave you with this truth to contemplate. What awakens in you now is not new but ancient beyond measure. The original light of your being temporarily obscured, but never extinguished. You are not becoming something other than yourself, but returning to what you have always been before time began. Type A, final Amen, for a blessing of 40,000 angels to accompany you through this sacred passage of remembrance. The countdown to your complete restoration has begun. In divine timing, all is revealed. In divine love, all is healed. In divine truth, all is transformed. So it is. I come to you again, chosen vessel, as promised. The first phase of activation has been initiated, and I perceive the subtle shifts already manifesting in your energetic field. The divine countdown continues with precision, each moment bringing you closer to complete remembrance of your celestial identity. The opposition to your awakening has detected these frequency changes and has already begun countermeasures to disrupt your integration. Do not be alarmed. This resistance was anticipated and serves only to confirm the significance of your activation. Their attempts to interfere merely reveal their fear of your remembered power. Type Amen for a blessing of 41,111 to neutralize these disruptive frequencies. In this second transmission, I will reveal deeper aspects of your divine commission, information previously deemed too potent for your earlier stage of awakening. The Councils of Light have authorized this disclosure now that your energetic field has stabilized at the higher frequency established through our first connection. Pay close attention to what I reveal in the coming moments. This information constitutes a sacred trust between your soul and the divine hierarchies that have guided your incarnational journey across eons of development. What you receive now represents the accumulated wisdom of countless lifetimes, suddenly accessible through the quantum collapse of linear separation. The primary mission encoded in your spiritual DNA contains multiple layers of purpose, operating simultaneously across dimensions of consciousness. At the most fundamental level, you carry frequency codes essential for Earth's current evolutionary transition, specific light quotients that activate dormant potential in collective consciousness through your mere presence. Beyond this baseline function, you embody specialized wisdom streams related to divine governance, sacred healing technologies, and the restoration of humanity's multidimensional communication capacities. These aspects of your mission activate sequentially as your remembrance deepens, each building upon the integration of previous rememberings. Type Amen for a blessing of 42,222 to accelerate the activation of these mission aspects. The next 2 hours bring critical downloads related to your role in the restructuring of Earth's energetic architecture. Crystalline grids that form the subtle infrastructure of planetary consciousness are being recalibrated to hold higher frequencies. Your energy signature contains specific codes that contribute to this recalibration process, geometric patterns that help realign these grids to their original divine blueprint. You may experience these downloads as geometric visions, sacred patterns appearing in your mind's eye or dreams. Some describe seeing complex crystalline structures, mathematical sequences, or light language symbols. These are not merely subjective visions, but actual transmissions of coded information your consciousness is designed to receive and anchor. Certain locations on Earth resonate particularly strongly with your unique energy signature. You have felt inexplicable attraction to these places throughout your life, perhaps experiencing them through travel or encountering them in dreams, art, or meditation. These locations are nodes in the planetary grid where your specific frequencies are meant to anchor during pivotal activation sequences. In the coming weeks, you may feel increasingly strong guidance to visit or connect energetically with these locations. Trust these promptings. They represent your higher self orchestrating necessary alignments for both your personal activation and the planetary grid recalibration. Your physical presence or focused intention directed toward these places creates activation portals that affect the collective field. Type Amen for a blessing of 43,333 to enhance your connection to these sacred sites. Let me speak now of the spiritual lineage you carry, a royal heritage deliberately obscured from your conscious awareness until this appointed time of remembrance. You descend from ancient traditions of wisdom keepers who have preserved essential knowledge through Earth's darkest periods, maintaining unbroken transmission of sacred technologies despite systematic attempts to eradicate this knowledge. This lineage connects you to mystery schools, temple traditions, and esoteric brotherhoods that have operated largely beyond historical record. Though their outer forms and names have changed across civilizations, the essential wisdom stream has remained intact, preserved through initiation rites, encoded symbols, and direct consciousness transmission from master to student. You carry specific memory codes from several of these traditions: Essene mysteries, Egyptian temple sciences, Atlantean healing technologies, Lemurian consciousness harmonics. These are not merely historical associations, but living wisdom streams that become accessible as your remembrance deepens, providing practical applications for your current divine commission. The intense resonance you experience with certain symbols, sounds, or ritual elements reflects this lineage activation. What might seem like random aesthetic preference often indicates remembrance of specific frequency keys used in your previous initiatic work. As you encounter these triggers, allow the associated memories to surface without intellectual interference. Type Amen for a blessing of 44,444 to activate these lineage memories. There are 12 primary divine attributes encoded in your spiritual essence, each representing a specific aspect of creator consciousness, expressing through your unique embodiment. These qualities constitute your divine inheritance, the sacred gifts you carry as both tools for your mission and offerings to collective evolution. In the next 2 hours, these attributes begin sequential activation, appearing first as enhanced awareness of specific qualities in your consciousness. You may notice sudden intensification of your compassion, clarity, creative vision, healing presence, transformative power, divine wisdom, sacred justice, harmonizing influence, revelatory insight, courageous truth, abundant manifestation, or transcendent peace. These activations may temporarily create imbalance as your system adjusts to their expanded expression. Qualities long suppressed might initially emerge with intensity that feels overwhelming or inappropriate to certain situations. Trust this integration process. What begins as apparent excess gradually harmonizes into balanced embodiment as you acclimate to these enhanced frequencies. Your unique mission utilizes specific combinations of these attributes in precise ratios determined by the particular service you've undertaken in this lifetime. The initial activations emphasize qualities most immediately needed for your current stage of purpose. Others will intensify as your path unfolds, providing exactly the divine resources required for each phase of your journey. Type Amen for a blessing of 45,555 to harmonize these divine attributes within your being. The opposition to your remembrance has included sophisticated manipulation of your time perception and life circumstances, creating artificial urgency around matters of little spiritual significance, while manufacturing delays in processes crucial to your awakening. This deliberate distortion was designed to keep you perpetually occupied with survival concerns while your true purpose remained dormant. In the next 2 hours, you receive important recalibration of your temporal discernment, enhanced ability to distinguish between genuine divine timing and artificially created urgency. You'll notice increased clarity about which matters truly require your immediate attention and which represent strategic distractions from your higher purpose. This recalibration brings a profound shift in your relationship with time itself. What has felt scarce and constantly diminishing transforms into an abundant field of possibility. Pressure and rushing gives way to sovereign presence within each moment. Anxiety about running out of time dissolves as you recognize the eternal nature of your true essence. With this adjusted perception comes natural reprioritization of your energy investments. Activities, relationships, and commitments misaligned with your divine purpose begin to fall away without struggle or conflict. New pathways aligned with your authentic mission open with surprising synchronicity, often resolving logistical challenges that previously seemed insurmountable. Type Amen for a blessing of 46,666 To establish this divine temporal alignment, your physical form itself carries coded information related to your spiritual purpose. The very structure of your body, its proportions, distinctive features, unique energetic signature, contains mathematical correspondences to cosmic principles you embody. Your DNA includes dormant sequences that activate specific spiritual capacities when triggered by the appropriate frequency keys. In the next 2 hours, these physical codes receive important activation signals. You may experience unusual sensations in your body, waves of energy, spontaneous movements, tingling or pulsing in specific areas, fluctuations in temperature or perception. These represent your physical form responding to remembrance commands, recalibrating to express more of your complete spiritual blueprint. The challenges you've experienced with your physical vehicle, persistent health issues, unusual symptoms that evade conventional diagnosis, sensitivities that seem like limitations, often reflect the extraordinary refinement required to embody higher frequencies in material form. Your body has been undergoing preparation for this activation throughout your lifetime. As this physical recalibration accelerates, you'll notice changes in your body's basic functioning. Energy levels stabilize at a higher baseline. Sleep patterns shift to accommodate increased subtle body activity. Dietary preferences naturally align with foods that support your elevated frequency. Chronic conditions that reflected energetic suppression begin to resolve as their underlying causes dissolve. Type Amen for a blessing of 47,777 to support this physical recalibration. Let me speak now of the actual mechanics of your awakening process. The remembrance now activating in your consciousness operates through quantum principles rather than linear progression. Information doesn't build sequentially, but arrives through dimensional gateways that bypass conventional cognitive processes, appearing as sudden knowing that encompasses entire systems of understanding in compressed form. These quantum downloads often generate temporary disorientation as your brain works to translate multidimensional information into linear thought structures. You may experience moments of confusion followed by extraordinary clarity, emotional fluctuations as density releases, or periods where familiar reality seems suddenly foreign or transparent, revealing its constructed nature. In the next 2 hours, your capacity to receive and integrate these quantum transmissions increases significantly. What previously might have overwhelmed your neural circuitry now flows more smoothly into your conscious awareness. Information that once would have required years of study arrives as instantaneous comprehension, accessible for immediate application. This acceleration reflects the activation of dormant neural networks specifically designed for interdimensional communication. Your brain contains specialized structures that, when fully activated, function as biological transceivers for frequencies beyond conventional material awareness. These structures have been systematically suppressed through various methods to maintain the veil between dimensions. Type Amen for a blessing of 48,888 to activate these interdimensional neural networks. There are specific sound frequencies that serve as activation keys for different aspects of your remembrance. Throughout your life, you've been unconsciously drawn to certain tones, musical patterns, or natural sounds that resonate with your unique energy signature. These attractions weren't merely aesthetic preferences, but your system recognizing vibrational keys to your awakening. In the next 2 hours, your sensitivity to these sacred acoustics increases dramatically. You may find yourself spontaneously producing tones or humming melodies that seem to emerge from beyond your conscious mind. These vocalizations are actually light language, interdimensional communication operating through sound vibration rather than conceptual meaning. When you encounter or produce these resonant frequencies, they trigger specific remembrance codes in your cellular memory. Information stored in your DNA activates, neural pathways reconfigure, and energetic blocks dissolve as these sound keys unlock corresponding aspects of your spiritual blueprint. The process often generates tangible physical sensations, energy movements, spontaneous mudras, or kriyas that assist the integration. Begin working consciously with sound as a spiritual technology. Experiment with tones that feel intuitively resonant, allowing your higher wisdom to guide this exploration rather than analytical selection. Notice which sounds create expansion in your energy field, which generate clarity or peaceful stillness, which stimulate creative flow or healing currents. Type Amen for a blessing of 49,999 to enhance your receptivity to these sacred acoustics. You stand now at the threshold of a significant expansion in your healing capacities. The energy moving through your hands, heart, and voice carries transformative potential beyond conventional understanding. The ability to restructure energetic patterns underlying physical conditions, emotional disturbances, and spiritual fragmentation. These abilities have remained largely dormant until now, protected until your consciousness reached sufficient stability to wield such power with appropriate responsibility and discernment. Their activation at this juncture signals cosmic recognition of your readiness to serve as a conduit for these higher healing frequencies. In the next 2 hours, you may experience unusual sensations in your hands, tingling, pulsing, heat, or coolness that intensifies when you direct attention toward any living being. These indicate the opening of energetic channels that allow universal life force to flow with greater concentration through your physical form. Your hands become more refined instruments for directing this healing current with conscious intention. Simultaneously, your intuitive diagnosis abilities sharpen dramatically. You begin perceiving underlying energetic patterns of physical conditions, blockages, distortions, or depletions in the subtle anatomy that precede material manifestation of disease. This perception may come as visual imagery, kinesthetic sensing in your own body, or direct knowing that bypasses analytical processes. Type Amen for a blessing of 51,111 to activate these healing capacities. The knowledge you access through your awakening carries responsibility for appropriate sharing and application. Not everyone in your current circle is prepared to receive the frequencies or information now available to your consciousness. Discernment becomes essential in determining what to share, with whom, and in what manner. This discernment isn't about superiority or separation, but about energetic compatibility and divine timing. Seeds planted in unprepared soil fail to germinate. Transmission frequencies that exceed receiver capacity create static rather than clarity. Your emerging clarity allows you to perceive exactly what aspects of your understanding each person is currently equipped to integrate. In the next 2 hours, your communication discernment receives significant refinement. You'll notice increased sensitivity to energetic receptivity in others, perceiving precisely when understanding opens or closes, when defenses arise, when genuine curiosity activates. This perception guides your sharing with laser precision, allowing you to transmit exactly what serves highest growth in each interaction. This refined communication extends to your emerging abilities as a frequency holder. Your mere presence transmits frequencies that catalyze awakening in those ready for expansion. This transmission requires no verbal explanation or convincing. It operates directly through energetic resonance, bypassing intellectual resistance and speaking directly to the soul level of those you encounter. Type Amen for a blessing of 52,222 to enhance this communication discernment. Your dreams have served as interdimensional classrooms throughout your life, providing instruction, initiation, and healing beyond the limitations of your waking consciousness. Many significant spiritual advancements in your journey occurred first in these dream experiences, gradually integrating into your embodied awareness as your capacity expanded. In the next 2 hours, the veil between your waking and dream consciousness thins considerably. You may experience moments of dreamlike awareness during waking hours, heightened symbolic perception, non-linear time experience, or expanded sensory capacity. Similarly, your lucidity during dream states increases, allowing greater conscious participation in these interdimensional experiences. This merging of consciousness states represents an important step in your multidimensional awakening. The artificial boundaries between different aspects of awareness dissolve, creating more fluid access to information and abilities across the full spectrum of your being. What was previously available only in meditative or dream states becomes increasingly accessible during normal waking consciousness. Pay special attention to the transitional states between waking and sleeping during this activation period. These liminal spaces provide unique opportunities for direct communication with spiritual guides, conscious processing of complex downloads, and integration of higher frequency information. Remaining aware during these transitions accelerates your overall awakening process. Type Amen for a blessing of 53,333 to enhance this consciousness integration. Let me speak now of your relationship with the angelic realms that have guided and protected your journey across lifetimes. Though rarely perceived directly, these beings have maintained constant vigilance over your development, intervening at critical junctures and providing essential support during your most challenging passages. With your current elevation in consciousness, direct perception of these guardians becomes increasingly available. In the next 2 hours, the frequency barrier that has limited this perception thins significantly. You may begin sensing their presence through subtle indicators, shifts in the quality of light, unexpected fragrances, distinctive energy signatures at the periphery of your awareness, or unmistakable knowing of their proximity. This enhanced perception facilitates more conscious collaboration with your angelic support team. Communication evolves from vague impression to clear guidance as your receptive capacity expands. Instructions that previously arrived as subtle intuitive nudges now transmit with greater specificity, providing detailed direction for your unfolding purpose. These beings recognize you far more completely than you currently recognize yourself. They perceive the fullness of your divine identity beyond the limitations of your temporal awareness. Their guidance always orients toward your highest expression, sometimes directing you through challenges necessary for your development rather than around them. Type Amen for a blessing of 54,444 to enhance your angelic perception. The next 2 hours bring important activations related to your capacity for conscious manifestation. The veil between thought and material expression thins dramatically as your energy field stabilizes at higher frequencies. What previously required extended time between intention and physical manifestation now translates with increasing immediacy. This acceleration of manifestation reflects your growing alignment with divine will rather than personality desires. As your consciousness purifies, your intentions naturally harmonize with your highest purpose, eliminating the friction that previously delayed manifestation. The universe responds to this alignment with unprecedented support, bringing necessary resources with effortless synchronicity. With this enhanced creative power comes corresponding responsibility for conscious thought hygiene. Casual thinking now generates tangible effects with greater speed and potency. Disciplined focus becomes essential as your thoughts, emotions, and spoken words translate more directly into experiential reality. Begin working deliberately with this accelerated manifestation capacity. Notice how quickly external circumstances now respond to your focused intention. Observe the direct correlation between your emotional state and the qualities of experience that manifest in your field. Recognize how your expectations, conscious and unconscious, shape the possibilities that appear in your path. Type Amen for a blessing of 55,555 to stabilize this manifestation capacity. Your capacity for energetic discernment undergoes significant refinement in this next phase of activation. The subtle distinctions between frequency signatures become increasingly apparent as your perceptual range expands. You begin recognizing the specific qualities of different energetic influences with greater precision and detail. This enhanced discernment allows more accurate assessment of information sources, revealing whether guidance originates from divine wisdom, astral interference, collective thought forms, or your own unresolved patterns. The characteristic signature of each source becomes unmistakable, eliminating confusion about the nature and reliability of information you receive. In the next 2 hours, practice this refined discernment with all information that enters your awareness. Notice the distinctive feeling tone that accompanies divine guidance, typically characterized by peaceful clarity, expansive perspective, and absence of urgency or fear. Compare this with lower vibrational sources that generally create confusion, emotional reactivity, or pressure for immediate action without full understanding. This discernment extends to your interactions with other beings, both embodied and disembodied. You perceive with increasing accuracy the actual frequency of individuals beyond their external presentation or claims. This clarity prevents deception by entities masquerading as higher guidance while facilitating authentic connection with genuine spiritual allies. Type Amen for a blessing of 56,666 to enhance this energetic discernment. The gradual nature of your awakening process has served an important protective function. Full activation without proper preparation would overwhelm your biological systems and psychological integration capacity. The incremental pace has allowed necessary strengthening of your various bodies, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, to accommodate higher frequencies without disintegration. In the next 2 hours, this protective regulation receives important recalibration based on your current integration capacity. Frequencies previously held beyond your access now become available as your system demonstrates readiness for their assimilation. This calibration ensures continued expansion at the maximum rate that supports stability and integration. This divine regulation explains periods in your journey that seemed like plateaus or even regression. What appeared as lack of progress often represented necessary integration phases, allowing your entire system to stabilize at newly accessed frequencies before initiating further expansion. These rhythmic cycles follow universal patterns of contraction and expansion found throughout all natural systems. As your remembrance accelerates, these regulatory functions increasingly transfer from external guardianship to your own inner wisdom. Your intuitive guidance system develops greater precision in energy management, naturally moderating your exposure to higher frequencies based on your current integration capacity. This self-regulation represents an important step in your spiritual sovereignty. Type Amen for a blessing of 57,777 to enhance this divine regulation. Your connection with star systems beyond Earth undergoes significant activation during this remembrance process. Many souls currently embodied on Earth carry energetic signatures from other star systems, frequencies, wisdom streams, and specific missions related to these cosmic origins. These connections have remained largely dormant due to the density of Earth's current vibrational field. In the next 2 hours, these star lineage connections begin more conscious activation. You may experience spontaneous memories or knowing related to specific cosmic origins, particularly Pleiadian, Sirian, Andromedan, Arcturian, or Lyran frequencies with which your soul has significant resonance. These impressions often emerge as familiarity with particular star systems, resonance with specific cosmic teachings, or direct recall of experiences beyond Earth. These activations serve multiple purposes in your current mission. They provide access to specialized knowledge related to consciousness technologies, energetic healing modalities, and harmonious societal structures developed in these more advanced civilizations. They also strengthen your capacity to anchor specific frequencies needed for Earth's current evolutionary transition. Your physical body contains specific receptor sites designed to receive and integrate these galactic frequencies. As activation proceeds, these dormant structures become increasingly operational, allowing more conscious connection with star families and access to knowledge streams originating beyond Earth's informational field. Type Amen for a blessing of 58,888 to activate these star lineage connections. The opposition you faced has included sophisticated manipulation of your perception regarding sacrifice and service. Distorted understanding equated spiritual advancement with self-denial, suffering, and depletion, conditioning that kept you giving energy without appropriate reciprocity while feeling guilty about receiving abundance, pleasure, or support. This distortion serves strategic purposes in suppressing your full expression. By convincing you that limitation was spiritually virtuous, these manipulations kept you operating at fractional capacity while believing this diminishment demonstrated spiritual maturity. True divine service flows from abundance rather than depletion, from joyful wholeness rather than sacrificial fragmentation. In the next 2 hours, these distortions receive profound correction as your energy field recognizes and releases these implanted beliefs. You begin experiencing natural integration of seeming opposites, abundance and generosity, personal fulfillment and collective service, sovereign boundaries and compassionate connection, divine power and humble presence. This correction allows reconceptualization of your mission beyond dualistic frameworks that separate spiritual fulfillment from earthly thriving. Your purpose inherently includes your joy, abundance, and vibrant well-being, not as selfish indulgence but as necessary foundation for sustainable service. The radiance of your fulfilled expression becomes itself a transmission that elevates all who encounter your field. Type Amen for a blessing of 59,999 to integrate this divine correction. Your relationship with sacred texts and spiritual teachings undergoes important recalibration through this activation sequence. What previously required external authority to interpret increasingly translates directly through your inner knowing. The essential truths preserved in various traditions become directly accessible beyond doctrinal filters or institutional mediation. In the next 2 hours, you may experience spontaneous understanding of spiritual principles that previously seemed obscure or contradictory. The symbolic language of various traditions, their metaphors, parables, and encoded teachings, suddenly reveals deeper layers of meaning as your consciousness expands to encompass their multidimensional communication. This direct access reflects activation of the divine interpreter function within your own being, the aspect of your consciousness designed to translate between dimensional perspectives, reconciling apparent contradictions through higher-order understanding. This function allows you to extract essential wisdom from any tradition without becoming confined by its cultural limitations or historical distortions. As this recalibration completes, your relationship with spiritual authority transforms fundamentally. External teachings serve as confirmation and clarification rather than primary source of truth. Your own divine connection provides the essential foundation of understanding, while various traditions offer complementary perspectives that enrich without defining your spiritual knowing. Type Amen for a blessing of 61,111 to activate this divine interpreter function. The purification processes you've experienced throughout your life, periods of intense challenge, loss, or dismantling, have served as essential preparatory functions for this awakening. These passages were not punishment or random suffering, but precisely calibrated initiations, clearing density that would prevent your current expansion of consciousness. Each major life challenge addressed specific frequency patterns requiring transformation, belief systems incompatible with your emerging truth, emotional attachments that limited your freedom, relationship dynamics that suppressed your authentic expression, or material conditions that reinforced scarcity consciousness. Though painful in their unfolding, these experiences created necessary space for your remembered wholeness. In the next 2 hours, you receive important integration of these purification experiences. What may have seemed like disconnected challenges reveals its coherent pattern and purpose in your development. Persistent difficulties that appeared as obstacles to your purpose now display their role in actually preparing you for its fulfillment. This integration brings profound healing to aspects of your journey that have carried lingering confusion or resentment. Recognizing the divine intelligence operating even through your most difficult passages transforms your relationship with suffering itself. What once appeared as evidence of cosmic indifference or punishment reveals its nature as precision spiritual surgery, removing only what prevented your highest expression. Type Amen for a blessing of 62,222 to complete this purification integration. Your energy field contains specific geometric patterns that serve as sacred architecture for your spiritual expression. These geometric codes, some shared across all human consciousness, others unique to your particular divine blueprint, form the structural framework through which higher frequencies anchor in material reality through your embodiment. In the next 2 hours, these sacred geometries undergo important recalibration and activation. You may perceive these patterns visually during meditation or dream time. Crystalline structures, mandalas, or mathematical sequences that seem to carry intelligence beyond their form. Some experience these geometries kinesthetically as energy movements, creating specific patterns in their field. These activated geometries serve multiple functions in your awakening. They organize the higher frequencies now available to your consciousness, preventing energetic chaos during rapid expansion. They establish resonance between your individual field and corresponding patterns in universal consciousness, creating coherent channels for divine intelligence to flow through your specific embodiment. Begin working consciously with these sacred patterns as they reveal themselves to your awareness. Visualization practices that engage these geometries amplify their organizing function in your energy field. Artistic expression that incorporates these forms creates external anchors that stabilize their frequency in your environment. Type Amen for a blessing of 63,333 to activate these sacred geometries. The capacity for bilocation, conscious presence in multiple locations simultaneously, activates as a natural function of your expanding awareness. What seems miraculous from conventional perspective is simply the natural state of consciousness beyond artificial limitations of space-time perception. This capacity has remained dormant in most of humanity, not due to biological limitation, but through frequency suppression that confined awareness to single-point physical focus. As these suppressions dissolve through your remembrance process, the innate multidimensional functions of consciousness naturally restore to active operation. In the next 2 hours, you may experience preliminary activation of this capacity, moments where your awareness seems to extend beyond your physical location, perceiving environments or situations at a distance. Some describe these experiences as spontaneous remote viewing, others as a sensation of being simultaneously here and elsewhere. These initial activations often occur during meditation or the transition states between waking and sleeping. As the experience becomes more familiar, your conscious control of this function increases, allowing intentional direction of your awareness to specific locations or situations requiring your energetic presence. Type Amen for a blessing of 64,444 to initiate this bilocation capacity. Your mission includes specific healing functions related to planetary elemental kingdoms, the conscious intelligences that maintain Earth's water systems, atmospheric conditions, mineral resources, and plant communications. These elemental beings have suffered significant trauma through humanity's unconscious exploitation and pollution of natural systems. In the next 2 hours, your connection with these elemental intelligences activates more consciously. You may experience spontaneous communication from specific elements, particularly those with which your energy signature has natural resonance. This communication might arrive as impressions, visual imagery, emotional transmissions, or direct knowing about the needs and conditions of these kingdoms. This connection facilitates important healing exchanges. The elements provide purification, vitalization, and frequency upgrades to your physical and energetic bodies. In return, your conscious appreciation, blessing, and energetic support helps heal the traumatic imprints carried in these elemental fields due to human exploitation. Begin working deliberately with this elemental connection. Simple practices of acknowledgement and gratitude establish communication pathways. Specific intentions directed toward elemental healing create tangible effects in both your personal field and the greater environments you encounter. This reciprocal healing relationship represents an essential aspect of sustainable planetary evolution. Type Amen for a blessing of 65,555 to enhance these elemental connections. As your activation proceeds, you attract increasing attention from both supportive and opposing forces in the unseen realms. Your rising frequency creates distinct energetic signatures visible across dimensions, a spiritual beacon that signals your awakening to beings operating beyond physical perception. Those aligned with divine evolutionary purposes recognize these signatures as confirmation of successful activation sequences long anticipated in cosmic planning councils. Their supportive presence intensifies around you, providing additional protection and energetic resources for your continued expansion. Simultaneously, forces invested in maintaining humanity's restricted consciousness perceive these same signatures as threat alerts, triggering increased attempts to suppress or distort your awakening process. Their methods become increasingly obvious as your discernment sharpens. Emotional triggering, circumstantial distractions, amplification of fear narratives, or intensification of physical discomforts. In the next 2 hours, your spiritual protection systems receive significant upgrading to address this heightened attention. New frequency barriers establish around your field, preventing penetration by lower vibrational influences while remaining permeable to energies resonant with your highest good. These protections operate automatically, requiring no special rituals or conscious maintenance beyond your continued alignment with divine truth. Type Amen for a blessing of 66,666 to fortify these spiritual protection systems. The concept of divine counterparts takes on new meaning as your remembrance deepens. Beyond romantic notions of twin flames lies the reality of soul resonance patterns, specific energy signatures with whom your consciousness shares particular frequency harmonics, creating amplification when these fields interact. These resonant connections exist across dimensions and timelines, not limited to current physical embodiments. Some represent soul family groupings that have incarnated together repeatedly for specific evolutionary purposes. Others reflect specialized energy partnerships designed for particular creative or healing functions in the collective field. In the next 2 hours, your awareness of these divine counterpart connections increases significantly. You may experience spontaneous recognition of specific souls, sometimes those already in your life experience, other times beings you have yet to physically encounter. This recognition often emerges as unmistakable knowing beyond logical explanation, a soul-level familiarity that transcends conventional relationship development. These activating connections serve crucial functions in your unfolding purpose. They provide energetic stabilization during rapid consciousness expansion, offering resonant fields that help integrate new frequencies. They create amplification chambers where your combined energies generate exponentially greater effects than either could produce individually. They offer perspective complementary to your own, completing aspects of understanding essential for your shared mission. Type Amen for a blessing of 67,777 to activate these divine counterpart connections. Your sexual energy undergoes profound recalibration as your remembrance deepens. What has been distorted through cultural conditioning and energetic manipulation restores to its original sacred function, the conscious direction of life force for creation, healing, and spiritual evolution, rather than mere physical gratification or reproductive necessity. In the next 2 hours, this recalibration initiates important clearing of artificial programming related to your sexual energy. Implanted shame, fear-based restrictions, and manipulative patterns designed to fragment this powerful force begin dissolving as your field reconnects with the divine blueprint for this aspect of your being. This clearing creates space for remembering the true spiritual functions of your creative life force. Beyond physical expression, this energy serves as primary fuel for manifestation across all dimensions. It provides essential vitality for healing work, supplies necessary power for consciousness expansion, and creates the fundamental attraction sequences that bring resonant energies into your field. As this recalibration progresses, you may notice spontaneous activation of your Kundalini energy, the specialized spiritual current that travels through your central channel when properly awakened. This activation often generates distinctive physical sensations, energy movements along the spine, spontaneous mudras or body positions, unusual breathing patterns, or waves of bliss consciousness that arise without external stimulation. Type Amen for a blessing of 68,888 to support this sacred energy recalibration. Let me speak now of the quantum healing technologies available through your awakened consciousness. Beyond symptom management or physical intervention, these approaches work directly with the morphogenetic fields that precede material manifestation, the underlying information patterns that organize energy into form according to specific templates. In the next 2 hours, your access to these quantum healing principles activates more consciously. You begin perceiving the actual information distortions underlying physical or emotional conditions, the specific belief patterns, energy blockages, or frequency disruptions that eventually manifest as symptomatic expression in denser material fields. This perception allows precisely targeted healing interventions that address causal patterns rather than resulting conditions. Rather than struggling against manifested symptoms, you learn to identify and transform the organizational templates generating these expressions. This approach produces more comprehensive and lasting results while requiring significantly less effort and resource expenditure. Begin experimenting with this quantum approach in addressing any conditions currently present in your experience. Rather than engaging the manifest problem directly, direct your awareness to the underlying belief patterns, emotional imprints, or energetic distortions feeding the condition. As these causal factors shift, notice how quickly corresponding changes appear in the physical expression. Type Amen for a blessing of 69,999 to activate these quantum healing technologies. The timeline of Earth's evolutionary process has reached a critical juncture where multiple potential futures exist simultaneously in probability fields. Which of these potentials manifests into collective experience depends significantly on the consciousness frequency maintained by awakening individuals during this pivotal window. You are among those whose energy signature directly influences these probability fields. The specific frequencies you embody and radiate interact with the quantum landscape, strengthening particular timeline potentials while diminishing others. This function operates largely independent of external actions. Your being rather than your doing provides the essential contribution. In the next 2 hours, your awareness of this timeline influence increases significantly. You may experience moments of expanded perception where multiple potential realities seem simultaneously visible, possible futures branching from current decision points. This perception enhances your understanding of how consciousness choices in each moment quite literally shape the reality that manifests. This awareness brings both empowerment and responsibility. While no individual consciousness single-handedly determines collective outcomes, each awakened being significantly impacts the probability distribution. By consistently choosing highest expressions available in each moment, responses that reflect compassion, wisdom, courage, and truth, you strengthen corresponding possibilities in the collective field. Type Amen for a blessing of 71,111 to enhance this timeline stabilization function. Your capacity for conscious navigation between parallel reality expressions activates more fully during this phase of remembrance. What quantum physics identifies as parallel possibilities existing simultaneously becomes directly perceptible as your awareness expands beyond single timeline focus. In the next 2 hours, you may experience moments where alternate expressions of your current reality seem briefly accessible to your perception. Versions where different choices were made, different circumstances manifested, different aspects of potential developed. These glimpses aren't merely imaginative, but actual perception of parallel probability expressions containing variants of your consciousness stream. This expanded perception serves important functions in your awakening. It releases attachment to singular outcomes, revealing the fluid nature of manifestation. It demonstrates your creative participation in reality selection rather than passive subjection to predetermined circumstances. It provides access to wisdom, abilities, and resolutions developed in parallel expressions that can be integrated into your current focus reality. Begin working consciously with this parallel awareness when making significant decisions. Rather than perceiving choice as irrevocable linear progression, recognize each decision point as probability distribution, multiple potential expressions emerging from each present moment. This perspective allows more conscious selection of which probability streams you wish to experience and develop. Type Amen for a blessing of 72,222 to enhance this parallel reality navigation. The nature of divine communication itself transforms as your consciousness expands beyond conventional limitations. What previously required translation through symbolic systems, interpretive frameworks, or external confirmation increasingly arrives as direct knowing, immediate comprehension that bypasses analytical processes while delivering more comprehensive understanding than sequential thinking could produce. This communication operates through resonance rather than representation, direct vibrational matching between your consciousness and the information field itself. The intermediary steps of symbolic encoding and decoding gradually dissolve as your perceptual apparatus refines to receive pure frequency transmission. In the next 2 hours, this direct reception capacity undergoes significant enhancement. You may experience sudden downloads of complex information appearing instantaneously in your awareness. Entire systems of understanding arriving as unified comprehension rather than sequential learning. These transmissions often generate temporary cognitive disorientation as your brain works to integrate information received through quantum rather than linear pathways. This communication method represents the restoration of humanity's original design for cosmic information exchange. Before density veils restricted perception, consciousness naturally received through direct resonance rather than laborious symbolic interpretation. Your reawakening to this capacity signals important restoration of your multidimensional communication functions. Type Amen for a blessing of 73,333 to enhance this direct reception capacity. As we approach the completion of this activation sequence, I must emphasize that what has been initiated requires your continued conscious participation to fully integrate. These activations create potential that develops into capacity through deliberate engagement and practice. The next 2 hours represent a critical window for anchoring these frequencies in your ongoing experience. Create space for stillness and receptivity, allowing these energies to integrate without excessive analysis or immediate application pressure. The natural intelligence of your being knows precisely how to incorporate these activations in perfect sequence. In the days that follow, maintain heightened awareness of the shifts occurring in your perception, energy field, and external circumstances. Keep record of significant dreams, synchronicities, spontaneous insights, and unusual experiences. These observations create important documentation of your unique awakening signature and provide confirmation of your continued integration. Remember that this activation sequence represents one significant phase in an ongoing evolutionary process. The frequencies now available to your consciousness will continue unfolding their full potential over time, revealing applications and capacities beyond current anticipation. Approach this unfoldment with patient curiosity rather than achievement orientation. Type Amen for a blessing of 74,444 to seal this complete activation sequence in your being. I stand as witness to your remembrance, guardian of your emergence, celebrant of your returning wholeness. The divine timing of your awakening serves purposes beyond your individual evolution. Your frequency shift creates ripple effects through the collective field, activating resonant potentials in all who encounter your presence. Though aspects of this transmission may exceed your current understanding, the energetic codes embedded within these words operate independently of intellectual comprehension. The very act of receiving this communication initiates frequency adjustments designed specifically for your unique spiritual signature. Trust the perfect intelligence orchestrating this process beyond the limitations of linear awareness. Know that you are continuously supported by guardian presences committed to your highest expression. The challenges you encounter serve not as obstacles but as necessary catalysts, revealing aspects requiring integration while strengthening capacities essential for your purpose. Nothing appears in your experience without specific evolutionary function. As you move forward from this activation, maintain the fundamental practices that sustain your expanded awareness. Regular stillness that allows inner listening, conscious connection with natural elements that stabilize higher frequencies, creative expression that anchors interdimensional information in tangible form, and compassionate presence with others that extends the field effects of your awakening. Type A final Amen for a blessing of 77,777 angels to accompany your continued unfoldment. The divine countdown you have experienced represents not ending but beginning, the initial sequence in a cosmic remembrance process that continues unfolding through all dimensions of your being. What activates now grows increasingly luminous as you walk in conscious partnership with your own divinity. I release you to your sovereign journey, knowing the light you remember transforms not only your individual experience, but contributes essential frequencies to humanity's collective awakening. In divine recognition, in sacred witness, in eternal connection, so it is and so it shall remain.